On October 10th, Tron Ares, the third film in the franchise, will hit the big screen. The film will depict what happens when artificial intelligence breaks through the wall that separates the digital world and the natural world. But how will Ares expand the Tron franchise? Welcome back to the Gloomy Grid, and in this video, we are going to go over the 5 most interesting theories about what could have happened after Tron Legacy, which could lead to the chaos in Tron Ares. From Kevin Flynn's reintegration with CLU, to the return of the Master Control program with a new body, and the Identity Triangle. Number 5. The new Dillinger is a villain. Many years have passed since Cora and Sam escaped from the grid, but the presence of these characters seems to have changed nothing in the human world. The first Tron Ares teaser trailer gave us the first glimpse of Julian Dillinger, possibly trapped inside a grid that was dominated by the color red. This could be the genesis of the invasion that occurs in the real world that we saw in the teaser trailer. I've already mentioned that there are theories that could explain who this character is. Giving the Dillinger's family's established role as antagonists within the Tron franchise, their continued presence gives us a pretty good idea of where the story of Tron Ares could go. First, there was Edward Dillinger Sr., an NCOM employee who used every dirty trick in the book to take control over the company. Ed Dillinger created the Master Control program and rose to power until the program he modified betrayed him. Ed was later exposed as a thief and was removed from the company, but it wouldn't be long until a new Dillinger is employed by NCOM. After Edward Dillinger was fired, he attempted to take control of NCOM again through a rival company. The man even tried to replicate Kevin Flynn's technology to sell it to other companies. Despite Edward Dillinger's actions against NCOM and Kevin Flynn, Alan Bradley, Flynn's closest friend, surprisingly allowed Edward Dillinger Jr.'s continued employment at the company. Although Jr. seemed to be the only competent employee within NCOM, he was following his father's footsteps, using Kevin Flynn's programs to feed a monster that was thought to be dead. Yes, the MCP was destroyed at the end of Tron 1982, but there is a small detail about the program that many seem to always forget. The Master Control program originated from a chess program that Edward Sr. modified. In other words, it was a program that Dillinger corrupted into creation, and just as he created it once, he could have saved copies of the corrupted program and created it again. And the bonus features on the Tron Legacy Blu-ray confirmed this suspicion. In one of the clips, Jr. is presumably communicating with the MCP, who warns him not to underestimate Sam Flynn.
Yes, there must be a problem. He may not be his father, but he's still a Flynn. Don't underestimate him. End of line.
This revelation confirms that the Master Control is still functioning, and that the Dillingers continue to follow its instructions. Many fans believe that Tron Ares will ignore or retcon Tron Legacy, but we are not so sure. Ares may still be more connected to the past films than the fans think. Number 4. Was Sam betrayed by Tron's creator? After Alan Bradley, creator of the Tron program, took control of NCOM to protect Sam's interests, while in power, Alan began secretly leaking company information and was also funding online groups to spread a single idea: Flynn lives.
We passionately believe that Kevin Flynn, visionary, digital pioneer, a man ahead of his time, is alive.
After too many years of silence, our organization found the funding to extend a tradition that began soon after Flynn's arcade closed in 1990.
That man, he is a programmer. And we worship him.
Yeah, baby,
That summer and every summer since, those of us who still believe in Flynn's legacy would come together and play the original arcade machines that we have preserved as part of our personal collections. And thanks to an anonymous donor who goes by the name of Isolated Thinker, we've been able to show the public the power of the work of Kevin Flynn and get a whole new group of people back on the search to find out what really happened.
But why? Why would Tron's creator fund a group that attacked his company? And what do they mean by Flynn lives?
Mom, it's doing it again.
To understand this, we must go back to the beginnings of Encom, the company that began in someone's garage with the dream of changing the world through video games and computers, but little by little was transformed into something else. Encom was an epicenter of creativity that switched focus to solely profits. It often happens with major companies that begin as privately owned and then go publicly traded. When Flynn took control of Encom, the company was already a mega corporation that was corrupted by the ambitions of the shareholders and Ed Dillinger, who were pushing for company restructuring to take advantage of the growth of its stocks in the financial market. One thing you need to understand is that the soul of Encom was its developers, who dreamed of changing the world, but its strength lied in the suits. Like Dillinger, those who were willing to use the creativity of the developers to control the world. And they did.
Your plan represents everything Flynn was against.
That spirit totally got away from the top brass.
So we're all writing Flynn off. You'll have my resignation by the end of the day. How many employees are you letting go?
With Flynn gone, we were no longer in the video game business. It was all corporate.
In November 1990, Kurt Hartington called for a restructuring of Encom. He declared that the state of the company is unsustainable and that it cannot continue without a clear strategy. It was then that Encom's founders and developers were fired. The company's creative force was thrown out like garbage, and the company shifted its priority to seeking efficiency and improving existing programs. But while Encom was turning into a shadow of its former self, Alan Bradley, along with a hacker codenamed Zackattack, continued to expose the possible truth that Flynn might still be alive. And in 1997, something unexpected happened. A computer virus named Flynn Lives spread throughout the world, and within a few days, more than 40 million computers were infected, making it one of the most effective and mysterious viruses in computer tech history. This was no ordinary virus. It wasn't intended to destroy files or steal information. It was a hidden message, a reminder installed into all PCs around the world, almost as if someone were trying to revive a legend from the depths of the grid. And it worked. For one moment to the next, Kevin Flynn's name was back in the headlines. Then a few years later, Kevin Flynn's son Sam joined the Flynn Lives movement and went on pranking Encom, challenging the company from within to the world.
Flynn came back. Just a little bit younger. Sam Flynn inspired us. Every year, he'd find a new way to infuriate Encom's board with his pranks. He started doing the work that we had almost given up 10 years ago.
Be free.
Now I got you.
Don't sweat it. Your boss is okay with it.
The hell he is.
Your boss works for the CEO, and the CEO works for the shareholders. Now, do you know who the biggest shareholder is?
I don't know, some kid. You're Mr. Flynn? Why?
Encom was a greedy mega corporation that didn't work for the best interests of its users. The company did not respect or value its customers. Encom had completely strayed away from its soul, and it needed to be stopped before it was too late. When people were yelling on the streets that Flynn lives, they weren't referring to the man who vanished inside the grid. They were referring to his ideals of growth, freedom, and creativity that Encom and the Master Control program considered blasphemous. And when Sam joined the group, the short film mentions that Kevin Flynn returned, but as a young man. This explains the soul of the short film. Flynn was no longer a person. He was a way of thinking, an idea of resistance against a company that wanted to control the world using other people's labor. Every time someone said or wrote Flynn lives, they didn't mean it literally. They meant that the idea of creativity and freedom above greed was still alive amidst this technological ambition. The ending of Tron the Next Day reveals that the leader of the extremist group was Roy Ram Kleinberg, one of the veteran programmers who were fired, whose operation was funded by Alan Tron Bradley, who was again in charge of Encom. This means that there was always an internal conflict at Encom while Kevin Flynn was trapped inside the grid. Alan was trying to preserve the company's ideology, fighting the Dillinger family's attempts to seize absolute control. Despite the Dillingers' history with the company, Alan chooses to keep Ed Jr. in the company. Tron then recruits Ram to work with him at Encom again, and what seemed to be a happy ending is later interrupted when an ominous text exchange between two entities appear on a computer screen. One had the username or codename EDJ, who could be Ed Dillinger Jr., and the other MCTRL, or Master Control.
He may not be his father, but he's still a Flynn. Don't underestimate him. End of line.
And the Dillinger kid.
Yeah, well, Junior earned his place. He stays. What about you?
Here we begin to question Alan's odd decision to keep Ed Jr. employed. Why did the creator of Tron speak positively about the son of the creator of the Master Control program? Could it be that just as Tron became Rinsler, Alan's destiny is also to turn evil? Remember that Tron's defined characteristic is that he fights for the users. He was a reflection of Alan's soul. Alan has always fought for the people of Encom and their consumers, but perhaps he will soon be fighting for someone else. After decades of fighting to keep Kevin Flynn's ideals alive, the fact that Alan keeps the Dillinger close to him might not be a sign of weakness, but a hint of something more. A sign that Alan is becoming something more devious. Although we've never seen Tron's transformation into Rinsler, in the comics, there is a moment where Tron becomes deeply disappointed in Kevin Flynn. This happens when Kevin has to leave for the real world because his wife is about to give birth. In the comic, Flynn had always said to CLU and Tron that escaping the grid was impossible, yet they saw the creator of the grid use his disc to leave and enter at will. What's interesting about this comic is that when Flynn leaves for the real world, CLU isn't curious, but rather disappointed, and tells Tron that Flynn lied to them. Tron's fall to the orange side could have been due to a philosophical shift rather than corruption. Perhaps CLU gradually convinced Tron that his friend and creator was lying to them, corrupting the guardian of the grid and turning him into a tool of destruction. If the program is a reflection of the user, then Alan, like Tron, is prone to corruption, not because he desires power, but because he believes the future of the world depends on his decisions. And in the same way that CLU corrupted Tron, Ed Dillinger Jr. may have begun to sow doubt in Alan, turning him from a protector of the users at Encom into an asset for the Dillingers. And just as Tron fought for CLU, Alan may be working for the Dillingers now. But what could have caused this? As we've theorized in other videos, the arrival of the ISOs in the human world represents Kevin Flynn's new gospel, the arrival of miracles in the real world. But it also means the end of Encom. Seeing Sam take over the company at the end of the short film leaves us with two possible futures. One where the world becomes a technological utopia, and another where Encom is protected and in control. The Tron Ares teaser trailer shows that there haven't been any major changes in the human world, meaning Encom was protected, and Sam, like his own man, may have been betrayed by someone he trusted. And if the history of Tron is doomed to repeat itself, this points to one outcome. Alan Bradley, aka Tron, may have betrayed Sam Flynn to protect Encom's interests, giving the Dillingers more power and leading to the arrival of Ares. Tron the next day revealed that Kevin nicknamed Alan Tron after returning from the grid in the first movie.
Anyway, we were talking about what? Oh, my Tron nickname. Yeah.
Right.
I created a self-monitoring computer security system back in '82. I called it Tron. Well, the weird thing is, Flynn took to calling me Tron. All the programmers ran with it, and the nickname stayed with me for years.
But perhaps Alan has adopted a new nickname, one that could explain his character in the next film. Rinsler. It is his fate. Tron is Alan, which makes Rinsler a part of him as well.
Welcome back. The technology world was shocked earlier today as an official statement confirmed that software giant Encom International has reinstated Alan Bradley as chairman. Should investors be worried about Sam Flynn's turbulent past? Will he be a destructive force at Encom?
This is the future. And the shareholders that come along for the ride are going to be very happy with where we're taking Encom next.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley.
Number 3. Where is Cora? We begin with how Korra's story concluded in Tron Legacy. Korra is the last of the Isos, the isomorphic algorithms, a race of digital beings born from the sea of the grid. The Isos were meant to be the miracle capable of changing the human world in all aspects: medical, philosophical, religious, everything. But because of CLU, the Isos' existence was kept secret, as Flynn was trapped inside the grid. Sam, Flynn, and Korra escaped the grid at the end of Tron Legacy. But after the casting and the teaser trailer for the next installment of the Tron franchise were revealed, we all asked the same glaring question: where are Korra and Sam? In addition, we were wondering why the human world looks as if the ISO hadn't changed anything.
120 miles per hour, last seen heading northbound. Unit 12, acknowledging dispatch. Already in pursuit.
Was Tron Legacy removed from canon, or was it retconned? Did something bad happen to Sam and Korra after they escaped the grid? To try to understand what might have happened to them, we must return to the Flynn's role in the story. Kevin Flynn was one of the heroes of the story, who entered into a new world and helped Tron, another hero in the story, to stop a major threat. In Tron Legacy, Flynn became a creator of a new world, betrayed by someone he trusted, and was isolated inside the world he created. Later, his only child, Sam, enters the grid and takes on the role of a new hero. If history is doomed to repeat itself, then Sam's story could have followed in his father's footsteps. After Sam returned to the real world, someone he trusted might have betrayed him. As a result, he ended up isolated from the happenings in the world, while the miracle, Korra, went into hiding, or worse, was eliminated.
I guess we're supposed to change the world.
Tron is not just science fiction, it is also loaded with symbolisms reminiscent of biblical literature. One of the most powerful ideas is the figure of the son, who is sent by the creator to bring change to the world. Sam Flynn represents the son of the creator, Kevin Flynn, his father, who created the grid, a god who gave rise to a new digital reality. And just as in religious texts, the son is sent into the world with a message of salvation. In Tron, the son doesn't bring a message, but a being, Korra.
Shut it down, now! Relax. Relax. It's under control. Relax? A little gift from Ancom.
In Tron Legacy, Ed Dillinger's son held a controlling position at Encom, possibly waiting for the perfect moment to take over the company like his father did. If the Dillingers are always meant to be the antagonists, obsessed with protecting Encom's financial interests, as we mentioned in our previous video, then the existence of the Isos in the real world would affect the company's margins. And so Korra's existence threatens Encom's control, and the Dillingers would never allow such a threat to exist. Encom is the world's leading company in artificial intelligence software, and if it were proven that the Isos are sentient beings, the company would no longer be able to sell or exploit their programs. Therefore, the most logical theory is that the Dillinger family saw Sam and Korra as the end of their empire, as a threat to Encom, and so they decided to get rid of them. The son who was sent into the world that was rejected and betrayed by the world. Just like the digital father, history has repeated itself. Kevin Flynn could have created a utopia, and so could Sam, but both failed, and both strayed from their purpose. That's why in the Tron Ares teaser trailer, we don't see any noticeable change. Everything looks the same. The ISO has changed nothing. It is a world without Sam, without Korra, a world where the Dillingers continue to have control. Even if we are right, the Dillingers and Encom can't keep the existence of the Isos born from the grid a secret forever. The most common question about the ending of Tron Legacy is, how did Korra escape to the human world if she was a computer program? For years, fans theorized that it was thanks to Kevin Flynn that Korra crossed over to the real world. How, you may ask? Let me explain. So according to this crazy theory, Flynn's body disintegrated the moment his son and Korra left the grid, the same moment when he and CLU became one again. Then his residual matter was used to build Korra a body outside the grid. In other words, Korra is formed with the reconfigured atoms of her mentor's physical form. That would make her a kind of divine reincarnation, the spiritual daughter of the grid, born from a miracle incarnated with the body of the digital father. Quite poetic, don't you think? Almost divine. Nevertheless, this theory has now been dismissed since the first trailer for Tron Ares dropped. The appearance of a recognizer, the gigantic ship with 2 legs in the real world, suggests that all programs, even vehicles, can invade the real world, something that Kevin Flynn wanted to avoid. The claim that only ISOs can cross into the real world was never proven. So if the son of the digital father, Sam, was rejected and isolated, and if the living digital miracle, Korra, was silenced or eliminated, then the world may be condemned to shadow. Humanity may have to face a new sun, created not from light, but from darkness. A new program designed not to illuminate, but to destroy, and its name is Ares. Ares is invading the real world, armed with his triangular disc and a fragmented identity. He wears the color red, that of fury, violence, absolute control. Ares is not a miracle. He's a calamity created by a Dillinger offspring, the antithesis of Kevin Flynn. Kevin Flynn was the digital god or father, and the Dillingers are, well, the devil. And Ares is the digital antichrist, a corrupted version of the savior who comes to the human world to destroy it.
I play Ares, who's master control of the Dillinger security grid.
The ISOs were spontaneous life born from the pursuit of perfection. Ares is death, the result of the pursuit of power. A mutation born from Encom's version of the grid, the result of greed, control, and ambition. The story of Tron is of 2 forces, one that creates and one that destroys, one that desires to improve the world and another that seeks to control it. It is 2 families fighting for the future of multiple worlds, the struggle between the Dillingers and the Flynns, and the Tron Ares teaser may have proven this. Julian Dillinger, descendant of Ed Dillinger, appears within a new version of the grid, completely bathed in red, indicating that the system has been corrupted. This grid may not believe in the users, it just wants to control everything. A perfect Dillinger system. We don't know where Korra could be, or if she's even alive. And Sam? Well, we don't know either, but I'm willing to bet that, like his father, he's off somewhere, reflecting on the change he might have brought to the world. Maybe. So what do you think? Could Tron Ares be about what happens when the world rejects a miracle? Number 2. Is Tron the new villain? It's important to understand that the Dillinger family never could create. They steal and modify what already exists. Edward Dillinger was one of the best programmers at Encom, yet he was never able to create an original idea. All of his work was modifications. His greatest creation was the MCP, which was a modified program that used to play chess. And Ed's rise to power at Encom was mostly thanks to the video game software he stole from Kevin Flynn. Dillinger wasn't creative, but he was ambitious, and that was reflected in the program modifications he made. The result of his actions as we know it led to the creation of the Master Control program, the artificial intelligence that nearly escaped the grid to take control of the world's defense systems. In Tron Legacy, a Dillinger family member was still employed by Encom, but not as a grunt software maker, but as a board member of the company. Edward Dillinger's son, Ed Jr., was one of the company's most prominent programmers and worked to change Encom's software distribution model, something that Flynn's son, Sam, disrupted by hacking into Encom and releasing the company's newest operating system for free, since charging people money for it was against his father's wishes. Although Ed Jr. isn't portrayed as an antagonist in his brief appearance in Tron Legacy, it's clear that his interests weren't entirely aligned with his fellow board members. Like his father, he wanted to grow his power and influence within the company. He didn't care about helping humanity, only about increasing the company's financial well-being and improving his family's reputation. Wanting larger profit margins for a company is understandable, but it raises a big red flag when the desire comes from the son of the person who created the MCP. Perhaps allowing Ed Jr. to stay at Encom was a big mistake, as his son might be destined to do what his grandfather nearly did, destroy the world with the help of a corrupted version of Tron. Julian Dillinger is the grandson of Ed Dillinger, played by Evan Peters. Not much is known about this person, but based on the first teaser trailer of Tron Ares, Julian kind of looks like he's inside the grid. We know that he does have an interest in artificial intelligence, but as a member of the Dillinger clan, we must understand that his family's history and archetype are not that of creators, but that of corruptors. Just as his grandfather created the Master Control program, Julian could be the one who creates Ares. Ed Jr., Julian's father, oversaw the development of Encom's Operating System 12, even though it incorporated code created by Kevin Flynn. Being that a Dillinger has been at Encom since the 1970s, it's possible that the family still has saved somewhere Flynn's games that were stolen by Ed Dillinger Sr., also all versions of Encom's OS, and all the products the Dillinger family has modified over the decades. Possibly the Dillinger family has better backup versions of Kevin Flynn's life's work, and once you comprehend this, you'll begin to see what Ares could be.
I'm looking for something. Something I do not understand.
If the MCP was originally a chess-playing program that, under Dillinger's corruption, transformed into a power-hungry and controlling AI, what other monstrosities could he have created just by modifying Flynn's games? What if he got his hands on a certain program that destroyed his greatest bastardization? What could a Dillinger create if they had access to Tron? Now the story gets interesting. The fate of Edward Dillinger Sr. after he was outed as a thief is unknown, but his legacy lives on within Encom through his son and grandson. Just as Ed Dillinger modified the MCP for his selfish benefit, someone in his family could have modified a copy of the program that destroyed it. Tron, the program that fought for the users, but now does the opposite. Now, are there any clues that point to Ares being a Dillinger family creation, their version of Tron? Well, I did mention one glaring detail in a previous video, the one where we talked about the new identity triangle. Here's the image again for your convenience. Look closely at Ares' identity triangle on his back. You can see the word Dillinger above it, which looks like a seal or logo. It could be the mark of a new version of the grid that wasn't created to serve users or to test programs, but to expand corporate control, the Dillinger grid. One crazy theory I'll be exploring further in the future is that the grid in the Tron Ares trailer is completely red because it's driven by this family's selfish ambition. But the most important clue of all could be the name Ares itself. In the first Tron movie, Tron was introduced as a hero. The program embodied faith in the users and fought to protect them. But in Tron Legacy, his legacy and his faith were corrupted by CLU. Although the story focused on Kevin Flynn's mistakes, the film showed how a legacy based on hope can easily be corrupted and turn into a shadow of its former self. How faith in others can be used by the system to fragment one's identity and drive us to fight against the people we love. In Tron Uprising, Tron is no longer just an individual program. His name, his history, his resistance became something bigger, a symbol. Tron became an idea to live by among the oppressed programs of the grid. It's no longer just who Tron is as an individual, it's what he represents: hope, freedom, and faith in the users. And throughout the series, his importance grows. How Tron as a figure, as a legend, begins to change and inspire others to rise against the grid. Tron Legacy, Tron Uprising, and the title of each episode of the animated series are tied to Tron. Now analyzing the title of the new film, and Ares being the god of war and destruction, could mean that the next movie will show us a side of Tron that we haven't seen yet. His destructive side, a harbinger of war and chaos. He is no longer a guardian, he is now the opposite. And if Ares is a version of Tron that was corrupted by Julian Dillinger, that would make him the most tragic character in this franchise. Tron was created to protect the grid and the users. His ultimate fate now appears to be of the one that brings about the end of the world. The biggest clue was always right in front of us. The reason the new movie is titled Tron Ares is simple. Ares is Tron, the Dillinger version of Tron. And number 1, Kevin Flynn lives.
How can he be so afraid of his own creation? I mean, he built CLU. Why doesn't he just end him?
He could, but it would require reintegration.
Yeah, all right.
Flynn would never survive the event. It would mean the end of them both.
To create CLU, Kevin Flynn had to make a literal digital clone of himself within the grid. It could also be said that his digital clone, CLU, was an extension of his consciousness, a version of himself, but without the emotional limitations, who didn't allow for mistakes, and who was constantly seeking to improve the system, but always functioned, again, as an extension of Flynn. They were an entity divided into two, but in the reunion of Flynn and CLU at the end of Tron Legacy, absolute logic and human emotions merged. Kevin Flynn's sacrifice was what Cora feared the most, but this selfless act of a father means so much more. What if Kevin Flynn did cease to exist, as Cora prophesied, but something new was created in his place? What happens when two opposing identities unite after being separated for years, bringing into existence something unexpected that inherits the desire for perfection and with the will to live? In one of my previous videos, we discussed how colors are used in the world of Tron to convey visual messages. For example, red often signifies authoritarianism and control, while blue signifies faith and what is good. It's no coincidence that at the end of Tron Legacy, when Kevin absorbed CLU, it created an explosion of colors. What we saw was a set of ideologies, and the selfish part of Flynn, who always sought perfection and who nearly destroyed his son, finally being reintegrated with Kevin Flynn. What happened at the end of Tron Legacy wasn't a sacrifice, but a resurrection. It was the moment Kevin Flynn accepted that he and CLU are the same. Kevin stopped being only Kevin and became a hybrid of both. Cora wasn't wrong. Kevin Flynn did cease to exist that day, and in his place now exists something different, something greater. During the most recent D23 Disney Expo, images of Tron Ares were shown, but they went unnoticed. Those images could change everything we think we know about Kevin Flynn's fate. Some of the visuals were the appearance of the older version of the grid, likely the same one from the original Tron film, and also an elderly Kevin Flynn. Kevin Flynn's return means the theory that he lives is true, and that what we saw at the end of Legacy was the union between CLU and Kevin, or the transformation of the two into a third identity. This image of Flynn suggests that he never ceased to exist in the grid, and that after absorbing CLU and causing that explosion, a profound change occurred within him. Perhaps it was at that moment that Flynn embraced the part of himself that he had so avoided, his obsession with perfection, his need to fix everything, and his fear of making mistakes. He stopped being a creator or a father seeking redemption. He became someone who is completed, capable of accepting his mistakes and his dark side. But he also acquired all of CLU's knowledge, making him far more human. He has become the archetype of the imperfect God who has finally found peace. This doesn't mean that he isn't needed. If there is one constant in the Tron franchise, is that the world needs Kevin Flynn. And if Ares is the one who will continue the Dillinger's aspiration for control, perhaps the imperfect God will have to return one last time. Could Tron Ares be about the second coming of Kevin Flynn?
Join visionary Kevin Flynn, author of Structure and Dynamics in Advanced Computer Programming, as he takes us even deeper into the digital frontier.
Evolution is the greatest force in the material world. It has the potential to cause the greatest paradigm shift in the history of mankind. This will unleash the power of human intelligence.
Join Kevin Flynn on an exploration into the digital frontier.
Get your copy today at Center City Books.
After the apparent destruction of the grid in Tron Legacy, perhaps if Kevin Flynn survived and began to create a new world, his original creative desire could have been replaced by something else. Flynn had already grown as a character in Tron 2, from being a transhumanistic visionary to a hermit philosopher within the grid. But maybe what could have happened is that after Flynn embraced CLU, he wouldn't repeat his past mistakes. Perhaps he would return to the place where he still felt hope, a place where he first experienced miracles, the original NCOM grid. If the grid that we saw in the D23 previews is the original 1982 grid, then Flynn has transformed this place into his own Mount Olympus, his personal escape. And as in the other films, Flynn, or this new version of Flynn, is waiting to fulfill his purpose. What purpose am I referring to? Well, in the original Tron film, After leaving Encom, Flynn built an arcade so that people could play the revolutionary games he created, which the head of Encom, Edward Dillinger, had stolen from him. Encom, the corporation, needed Flynn to be their moral compass, but Dillinger slithered his way into a position of power and got rid of Flynn. The same thing occurs in Tron Legacy. Kevin Flynn once again lost the rights to his creation, as CLU took the grid away from Flynn and forced him into isolation. So rather than Tron being the story of a program that believes in the users, in actuality it is the story of a user who continually misses the call to save the world because he wasn't yet fully prepared to face the challenges. But once he absorbed CLU, Kevin Flynn gained what he was missing and turned into an entity that could find beauty in both perfection and chaos. Now what happens if another one of his creations is corrupted again by a Dillinger, and this corrupted program finds its way to the human world? Will Kevin once again be missing in action, or will he come forth and embrace his role as the hero both worlds need?
Space paranoids among us! So what are you going to do about it?
Space and follow. Sneak attack and an evil plan. Now we fight to defend our land. We go to
Although Ares' arrival looks destructive in the teaser trailer, his words reveal that he seeks more than destruction. He wants to find purpose. I believe that's where his story intersects with Kevin Flynn's. In his quest, Ares will end up in the original 1982 Encom grid, and the older but improved Kevin Flynn will show Ares that the answer he seeks isn't found in absolute control, but in becoming something more, a harmonious combination of program and human, just like what Kevin Flynn is now. Perhaps that was the next step he alluded to in Tron Legacy.
In there is a new world. In there is our future. In there is our destiny.
For years, Flynn avoided confrontation with the Dillingers, but he can't anymore. I think in this film, we'll see the elder Kevin Flynn confront the new Master Control program, Ares, and the Dillingers in what could be his final adventure. And once Kevin is gone, that might prompt Sam to return. That is, if he is alive. But that is a topic for another day. So what do you think? What will happen now that Kevin has CLU's knowledge? Will the Dillingers stand a chance against this version of Kevin Flynn? I'm a Gloomy Geek, and remember to like and subscribe.
I'm sorry, I know I messed up. We can go back. I can go back.
No, we stay together.
Dad, I can do this.
You've done enough already!